Filters, pool filters. What do they do? What kind are there? All that good stuff. So, first of all, a little lesson. All pool filters, every one of them, all filters are a tank, big looking tank with some sort of filter media inside. They all work on pressure. So high pressure water goes in, it goes into the tank, fills up the tank, pushes through some sort of media filter or filter material, and then it pushes out through the pool. It all works on pressure. Pushes it in. This thing gets under pressure, pushes it through the media, shoots it out to the pool. They all have a gauge, a pressure gauge on top of them. They all have a way to open them up. Like in this case right here, you'd stick a 15 millimeter socket on this, unscrew it, this thing pops open, pop, goes the top. They all have a way to clean them out, and this would be the same in this case. Lift it up, take the cartridges out, and they all have a drain plug. Uh, it's right here on the back side is where the drain plug is on this one. And they all have a sticker telling you what they are. So they all have that, and they clean the water. So that's what keeps the water clean and filtered. Obvious. Okay, so there are three types of pool filters. The first type, and the most common around here, that's probably 50% of them around here, are sand filters. Now, sand filters, oops, what's going on here? Here we go. Sand filters are what we love the most at Trophy Pools and Service. We love installing these. We love working on these. We love operating these for all these different reasons. But the problem is with them, it's not even a problem. They have the least filtration, 20 to 50 microns. So what's 20 microns? Well, that's about the width of a human hair. That means this thing will filter down to about the width of a human hair. That's pretty fine. It's not too bad. It's pretty fine. Um, and honestly, you stick this sand filter next to a filter that has about the same amount of cleaning power, or sorry, next to a DE filter, which we'll get to, you really can't tell the difference. You really can't tell the difference. So anyway, but they do have the least filtration, but they're also the least work. They're the least work. Once you install it, it's the easiest to maintain it. You just backwash it. So what is it? It's a big tank. It's filled halfway up with sand. Halfway up the tank, it's filled with sand. The water goes in through this multi-port, gets filtered through the sand, and gets sucked up through some laterals. And then it comes back up and it goes out to the pool. And it's all through this thing here called a multi-port valve. This is also this clamp right here. You take this off. That's where you can add your sand, or you can suck the sand out. Water comes in, it returns back to the pool, or in a sand filter, it shoots out a waste pipe when you backwash it. So you'll learn all about backwashing whenever the pressure gauge right here gets to a certain point, about 10 psi over its starting point. Then you know it's collected a bunch of garbage and it's time to backwash it. What it does is it reverses the flow and shoots out all the junk that it collected. You just do that for 5 years until you get, 5 years later, and it's time to change the sand. And that's all the maintenance that you have to do on a sand filter. You also have a drain plug, like they all do. You have a pressure gauge. They come in two different sizes, more or less, 300 pounds and also 600 pounds. And then, cleaning is just backwash it, usually about once a month, and then change the sand every 5 years. The next type of pool filter is called a cartridge filter. And almost all the new pools within the last 10 years have a cartridge filter. And there's good filtration, really good. We're talking 10 to 20 microns. It's good. And then medium maintenance, and we'll get to that. So it's a big tank. This is the same thing right here. This tank with the top off right here. And in this case, there's 4 big, huge cartridges, look like a shop vac filter. Take those things out and spray them off. We'll get to that, but water goes in, gets filtered through these cartridges, sucked up through here. These are hollow, sucked up through here, and returned back to the pool. It's got a drain plug, it's got a pressure gauge. In cleaning it, you take this top off, you pull each of these filters out, spray them all down with the AquaComb, a little tool that we have. Spray this thing off too, get it all clean. Undo the drain plug at the bottom, clean out the tank itself, and put it all back in the way you found it. Make sure to lube up this O-ring with Magic Lube. So other than that, doing this work, you do have to replace these cartridges every 2 to 4 years because they wear out. A lot of high pressure water coming through it with chemicals, and they just wear out. And they're $250-ish for all 4 of these. It's not the end of the world, but it's something. And most people, man, it's the last thing they want to do is to get new cartridges. Like it is, these have to be shredded, and you got to show them. But anyway, that's another story. But that's a cartridge filter. The last type is what's called a DE filter. It's also known as diatomaceous earth, DE. Only about 5, so that's 1 out of 20 roughly, pools here are a DE filter. They do have the best clarity. When they're working right, it's the best, down to 3 microns. 3 microns. I mean, that is microscopic. And it's, it claims good clarity, and it does look good. The pools look good, but they also look good with a cartridge filter and with a sand filter. So the human eye can't see this, and these are the most maintenance. So we'll talk more about that. What is it? It's a big, huge tank where water goes in, it gets filtered through the DE and goes back out to the pool. Inside this big tank are these spirally looking plastic bag looking things. They're called grids. And the DE, the diatomaceous earth powder, coats these grids. And that's what the water gets filtered through. Not the bag itself, but through the DE. It's so fine, it coats it so completely that the water gets filtered out through the DE itself. They also have a drain plug. They also have a pressure gauge at the very top, which tells you when to clean these things out. Now, how do you clean them out? Well, with a DE filter, you actually can backwash it. Just like a sand filter, you backwash it. Now, it does okay. And we backwash our DE filters a lot. Well, I'm talking like every 2 or 3 months, we end up backwashing them when the pressure gets high enough. And then the pressure goes down, and then you put more DE in them. But whenever you take the top off to actually clean these things, you'll see that backwashing really wasn't doing much. It was only cleaning about half of this, not even the whole thing, maybe about half. And so you got to take these things off and clean them out, kind of like a cartridge filter. But you pull each grid off one at a time, and you know exactly which one because they got to be back in order. You spray them off with water. They spray off real easy. All this crap sprays off. And then you put them back in all at the same time with these plastic deals on at the same time, and you try not to break these and or curse in front of the customer. It's not easy to do, but it's not impossible either. We don't clean too many of these, maybe 5 or 6 a year, so it's not like it's a daily thing. But and we tell them ahead of time, hey, these might be broke when we get in there, and just letting you know. If they are, we need to buy more. And they usually know, yeah, I've had to do that before, no problem. And these grids last about 3 to 5 years. And then they break, a hole pops in it. You get a hole popped in it, dirty water flows through it. It doesn't do its job. Junk shoots back into the pool. The DE will all shoot through that hole. And it's about $300 for those grids generally. So that is a DE filter. So we have sand, cartridge, and DE. And as you're out there going, you'll be talking about those different types of filters and getting real familiar with them and just how to identify them and all those kinds of things. So thank you.